left. Welcome to the players left. Yeah. When no other moment, man.
Welcome back to another episode of the Postgame Reaction, a UteNation podcast. I'm your host, Alex Markham, joined as always by Zack Moss. It's another win, another dominating win, 55-28, Utah over Baylor. Zack, man, there were some uncomfortable moments in this game for a bit, man, but take me through your emotions.
Yeah, it felt like, we were playing with our food a little bit. It felt like we knew what we wanted to do. And, you talk about the running game again, right? Running game showed up in a big way. The guys were explosive. Parker had another 100-plus yard game. Fick looked explosive. I think that's it's not a gimmick anymore. It's what he is. He's capable of doing, and it's legit now. And they got a plan for it. They really have to plan for it. And I believe I seen Coach Witt say something about him being the future of the program or something like that. And he's legit, man. Like, I remember the Colorado game, I was kind of like still in the fences. You never want to crown somebody just so fast, right? Because the guys are so talented. Of course, they can make plays in every game here and there. But he's been able to come in and really be a force offensively for these guys. So, yeah, to me, it felt like we were just playing with our food, man. Baylor, we knew they could throw the ball. They kind of been at school forever, right? Just being able to really pass the ball and things like that. But, the way we ran the ball, the way we controlled the clock and things like that, we got out of there with a good win at the end of the day. Guys put up 55 points. That's only probably going to help us a little bit in the CFP. And we gave up a lot. But we probably won't
You took
see
the under, too.
Yeah, I thought the way we were going to run I didn't see us being that explosive. Obviously, when you run the ball, you're that explosive and you're scoring like that, right? You put your defense back on the field. I knew we were going to run the ball. I didn't see, 3 60-plus yard touchdowns. I didn't see that happening, right? Maybe usually you shoot for 1 or 2, but 3 or plus, I was like, shoot.
And the pick six, too, yeah.
And that, so it's like, so we put our defense on the field quite a bit, which, they fought hard. It's hard to do when you know the offense is gonna throw the ball every play, low key, right? Like, they're not gonna try to sit here and run the ball and go at you with that because you already chewing the clock and they start running the ball. That's gonna only chew up the clock even more, right? So, it was a good game overall. Defense got tested in different ways. You're not gonna play an offense like that that's gonna throw the ball that many times and really stretch you vertically. They got some really good skill players over there. They're not a good team overall because the defense is not very good, but they got some decent weapons. They got some decent weapons that can do some things. But at the end of the day, guys bend it a little bit. Was it a little bit closer than you would like? Yeah, but at the end of the day, when one team is so heavy in the run game, right, and we are not a passing team at all, not in no way, shape, or form, right? Like,
and it works.
But we're gonna rely heavy on the run game. So, just imagine if you could throw the ball with this run game. Like, just imagine if, there's a saying that I heard before when I'm playing. We're gonna run to win and throw the ball because we want to. We can't throw the ball if we wanted to, regardless. Like, we can't do it. It's like, I don't know where on the totem pole our passing game ranks. I don't know where we are in NCAA right now with the rankings and that. I would love to know that.
I can tell you.
Yeah, I would cry if we're over 50, anything higher than 50. 50.
You're not going to cry. 95th, 14th in the Big 12.
Yeah, see, for me, I don't want to come on here and be the guy who spoils stuff, right? But I've played a lot of ball. I've seen a lot of ball. I love the way we run the game. I really do, right? It's super, super, super fun. And I know a lot of fans are probably thinking the same thing I'm probably going to say here, right? Like, it's super, super, super fun to see that and how dominant we are and things of that nature and just moving people, and stuff like that. But I've not seen where you can just run your way into championships, right? I've not seen it. Like us being so on the opposite side of each other, right? So high ranked in the run game, and then so lowly ranked in the passing game. If we were like middle of pack, we probably would be undefeated right now, right? Like the 2 games we lost is because they stopped the run game, right? And when you get, they got 2 more games left, and obviously they're gonna be favored in both of these last 2 games, but and they have a chance to be in that dance, right, in the Big 12 championship game, right? And you're going to go up against either BYU, Texas Tech, right? What's going to be the difference between them stopping the run again and having that same game plan to, eliminate the explosives, eliminate the run game, and to stack the box and say, hey, you got to go beat your skill guys, got to go beat us, right? I don't see in a world where our passing game just turns on for 1 game. It hasn't turned on for any game, right? We've just been dominant in the run game. I mean, shoot, all 5 of those dudes on the opposite line probably should get drafted in the first round, to be honest with you. like those dudes are legit. Coach Harden probably should have a head coaching job somewhere right now, right? Like he's done
I
an
agree with you on that.
amazing job. He's always done an amazing job, but this is his finest work. Him with Isaac as well. Isaac's been doing. I know Isaac's done a great job with those guys. And
Isaac Asiata, everybody.
Yeah, Asiata.
Yeah.
So I know he's played a big role in that room and stuff like that as well. So it's like, bro, I just wish we could figure out the passing game. Like it feels like if you're an Eagles fan, it's the same thing right now. It's like, gosh, can we figure out this passing game a little bit, guys? Like, can we figure that out? Can we get a consistent 150 yards passing a game with all this running we're doing? But at the end of the day, right, like the guys got the win, right? They're doing what we've been asking and what we talked about on the show last few weeks, right? Just keep winning big. Like, don't get into these tight games. Thankfully, they separated, right? Because when it was 28-20, you don't want to see that at the final score for this Baylor, right? Like, they separated and put up 55, and they made it look a lot better. So, overall, I'm happy with the win. You can never be mad about a win. Right now, guys are sitting at 8-2 with everything in front of them still.
You know what's wild is you talk about them blowing them out, okay? But there was legit a point in time in that game closer to halftime where I was sitting back saying, yeah, they could lose.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, Byrd happens. Byrd's the word.
Bird's the word.
Byrd's the damn word, man. Oh gosh, and for everybody that's listening to this and watching this, we're recording this on a Monday. Zack was out at a cabin on the weekends, so took that day. We're doing it today. Within that time, Zack, I don't know if you heard the press conference or heard some of the quotes, but Whittingham is starting to be very open about Byrd Ficklin, and he acknowledged that Devin is pretty dinged up. Obviously everybody could see it. It's nice to hear some transparency from Kyle on this stuff now. He also made a point that there's a realistic scenario where Byrd could start the next 2 games. So that's going to be something for everybody to pay attention to. That could be very interesting. You and me have constantly said, like, Devin is QB1. Like, there is no QB battle right now. Now, here's where the difference is with this stuff, and maybe you can tell me if I'm off on this or if you would add anything else, right? One, obviously, is leadership. It's right up there with how Cam's was over the years. That's what everybody in the program talks about. Bird's got quality leadership. I'm not going to take that away from him, but he's also a true freshman. Okay. Mm-hmm. From there, you sit back and you take a look at things. Devin knows the playbook better. Okay. He's been in this system with Jason Beck. That's a huge plus. What it comes down to is even if Byrd throws the better ball, and Byrd throws the better ball, like there's no disputing that, Byrd is more of a 1, maybe sometimes 2 read quarterback right now because of still grasping the full ounce, the full thing to the playbook. Okay. Devin can go through those 2 or 3 reads quicker.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's the big thing. And that can't be understated.
Yeah. I agree. I think Coach Witt has been doing a good job of, talking about Byrd and giving him his flowers for what he's been able to do when he comes in. I don't want to give him the keys yet. Like, I don't know what next year looks like, right? You talk about, obviously, he's put himself in a great position, right, to either fight really hard for the starting job here, right, or because whatever Dampier does, right, Dampier plays a huge factor into that because, in my belief, I believe he's coming back another year, right? So it's like you got both of these dudes who are really talented. One might be a little bit more better passer, right? Also, we don't, maybe some more weapons will make Dampier's game a little bit more elevated. So, they lost a lot of weapons outside and stuff like that this year. So, that plays a big part into it as well. But it's also, do you want to, not say force, but you have to really think about this, right? Like, especially with Byrd, his stock has risen, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be, it's like free agent in NFL. There's going to be suitors. This is what it is. There's nothing that you can really do about it, right? Like, he can leave at any point in time and go play, right? And same thing with Dampier, right? So it's a very delicate situation. I believe those two dudes are really cool dudes together, right? I think they both get along well.
Yeah. And they've
Um,
acknowledged that.
yeah, and that's huge, right? Because if there was any friction there, then it's on the coaching staff to try to figure that out because one of them are probably going to leave out of the building, right? But I think the chance of them getting both of them back are still high, in my opinion. Um, I think Bird's had a lot of success, obviously because he's talented and he's, he can do what he can do with the ball in his hands. It is different though. Now, when you're asking to be called upon each and every week to go and perform, right, which we haven't had to see yet, right? We've seen what Dan Pierce had to do and his struggles there and him getting nicked up and stuff like that. Fick is a lot skinnier and smaller build than Dampier,
Yeah.
right? So you can only imagine now you saying, okay, go drop back 20 times, right? And then still go run the ball another 15 times. What does his body look like? What does his body feel like, right? And that's a part where my mind goes to. Like, I think he is a hell of a player. And I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to see you get these 2 games to really see what it might go into next year, right? You can see, okay, is Fick the better passer with these weapons, right? And let's see how that works because we know we can run the ball. We know the scheme there is perfect. And I think it's a smart move by Coach Witt if he does allow him to start the next 2 games, let Dampier kind of just heal up or whatever needs to happen there and be the emergency quarterback if some stuff happens there. But I don't know. I don't want to make it a thing, obviously, but it
Right.
is something you have to think about where it's like, okay, you got 2 really good dudes. It's only one ball, man. It's only
So if Devin is dinged up enough, right? And again, we're spitballing on this, right? If Devin is dinged up enough,
yeah.
you feel confident enough in Byrd Ficklin to be able to go out and unquestionably get these next 2 wins.
I don't know if I wouldn't say I feel confident, right? I would say I believe he can do the job because of the people around him, right? And I believe the coaching staff is going to put him in the best position to win,
Mm-hmm.
right? We've seen Dampier struggle throwing the ball this year, right? And it's still sitting at 8-2. That means, you know, those guys have been able to find different ways to win the game without having to pass the ball,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Fick, to a lot of people, right, is a much better passer. The ball comes off his hand a little different and things of that nature, right? To me, I think it's a good idea to let him go play these next 2 games. Definitely this next week, this upcoming weekend. I think for sure this upcoming weekend he's home. We're not asking him to go on the road. He doesn't have to worry about silence cadence and all these different little technicality things that you got to worry about when you go on the road. no matter who you're playing, right? But so it's like you're home, you're comfortable, you know what you're doing, you're on your field, right? Everything looks familiar. I think it's a good idea. Allow him to go get another game on his belt, and it's an evaluation game technically.
Mhm.
If the way I look at it, the way if I was a coach in that position and being a former player, I would assume that I'm being evaluated as the player because is Dampier good enough to go play? Sure, go let him start and then bring Fick off the bench and let him run certain packages. We've
Mhm.
done it the whole year, right?
Yeah.
He's good enough essentially to go play, but they're going to give him the nod potentially, right? Because they want to see more. We want
Mhm.
to see. I don't want to see, you know, a cup of sugar. I want to see the whole bag. Let me see how much this guy can really go do, how much he can retain. Let me see him lead the guys, right? I believe it's senior night, so there's a lot of emotion. Um, all these different little type of things. So it's like it's a great opportunity to allow him to go do something versus a team that you're not really worried about,
Mhm.
right? At the same time, so it's a good environment. It makes sense. He's playing.
Utah is worried about him. Maybe you and me aren't. Right? We know how Witt conducts it. So
Yeah. Shouldn't be worried. Shouldn't be right. Obviously, respecting the opponent and going about it the correct way. But you know, clearly, if they was actually worried, right, we would see Dampier being the guy. Like when they played Colorado, they wasn't worried about Colorado coming in there and stinking up, our night or anything like that. So I think the same thing here, and we really get to see what Fit can do with a whole full game, maybe under his belt. Where I would love to see once we get into it on, um, in a couple of days, what does the stats look like for this run defense? Right? Is it going to just be another ass kicking in the run game versus a 100+ ranked defensive team? So all those things matter. I think it's a good idea. I would do it. Just because, hey, why not give Dampier another game that we don't technically need him to just go take an unnecessary hits or get banged up for some ungodly reason, stuff like that.
for sure. And now just reminding everybody, we're just talking a scenario here. We're talking what Whittingham has said. He's not saying that it's something that will happen this week. It's a very real possibility though. So it's worth it to kind of talk about it and kind of go through it. We can talk a little bit more about it in a bunch of other scenarios in the 48-hour rule. Lots of interesting kind of headlines to be kicking into from that, right? So like even just a little preview. You got Spencer Fano and Caleb Lomu. Is it their last game? I've seen Fano mocked from 1 to 5 in some draft, in some mock drafts,
It'll be
which
my
is
last.
yeah, right. I've heard that Caleb Lomu will come back if he's consistently mocked in second round. Sorry, you fans, everything I've seen is first round. Kyle, is it Kyle's last game? Just there's all these things that's going to be fun to talk about coming up on the 48-hour this week, man. But let's talk about a topic that you've been extremely passionate about, and I'm not talking the deep ball. I'm talking about running backs not getting enough carries. Okay.
Yeah.
Wayshawn got 15, which in this game, I'll say they did him right on that because it was a blowout, right? 15 for 129. He had that one rushing touchdown. Then he also had the receiving touchdown. Were you happy with his usage in this game?
Yeah, I wasn't unhappy. I think, what Fick, I want to say Fick ran the ball
6 for
26
166.
carries. Yeah. The way we were scoring was so fast, and obviously, I think it was overall good. He got another 100-yard game. He's a sophomore, so it's like for me putting myself in his shoes, right? Like, yeah, on one side of it, you're probably like, bro, I could have been had 1,000 yards, right? Like I could have had 1,000 yards, like maybe week 6, right, or something like that. Just because, this offensive line is ridiculous, and you're in a run heavy. Like I never played at Utah. We were never essentially run heavy until my last year, right? And which was weird because the whole reason I came here was because they were supposedly run heavy the whole time, right? So, 3 years we're not really run heavy. We're trying to figure it all out. And the last year with Ludwig, we were super run heavy, right? But this offense is literally a running back's dream. This offensive line is a running back's dream, and I know as a competitor, and I'm sure he's very competitive, right? Like he's like, man, I could, you're fighting for your future at the same time, right? So it's like selfishly, you're like, man, we're winning games, yeah. But I'm like, I could be over 1,000 plus and even helping the team even more, right? Like and just dominating and putting my name in those conversations with those other really good dudes, right? Like dudes from Notre Dame and stuff like that, right? Like Parker has the ability. Like we haven't come on here.
7.2 carry.
Yeah, like we haven't come on here, and that's credit to the offensive line. I mean, he doesn't.
Yeah.
I watched the game. He don't get touched until 5 yards. He could fall and get 5 yards, right? So it's like, imagine if we were seeing 20, 25 carries from him.
Mhm.
It'd be ridiculous numbers. He'd probably sit there, probably 300, 400, 200-yard games by now, just because of how dominant the offensive line is and just how run heavy it is, right? Like these guys come out of a game with 16 passes thrown combined. Like,
Dude.
When does that ever happen?
Right. So
it's 60 plays you run sometimes.
I'll give you a scenario, right? And this is not you saying that you are, I would call you the GOAT of Utah running backs, okay? But I'm not, when you answer this question, you're not saying like, oh, I could do this better than Wayshawn, okay? If you were on this team with this offensive line, it's 10 games into the season, okay? And you were getting 20 carries a game, how many yards do you think you're at right now?
Oh, I would be at 1,000 already. Plus. Yeah, easily. I mean, shoot, my junior year, I want to say I was at 1,007 in 8 games, right? And
sounds about
we
right.
We were trying to figure it out in my junior year, right? Like, and then we were not run heavy. Like, I was literally having to go upstairs and like bang on the table and go, behind our offensive coordinator's back and go straight to Coach Witt. Like, Coach Witt, look, man, hey, I don't plan on being here another year. So I feel like I'm one of the better offensive players we got. So we got to utilize me more, right? Versus, 12 carries here, 15 carries here, right? Like, especially, and that's why I say competitively, right? Like, there's a lot of people talking about A.J. Brown, right now, and things that he's been doing and stuff like that. But, like, when you're beyond competitive, right? Like, a lot of people are competitive, right? Like, a lot of people who go play pickleball can be competitive, right? Right? Like, we're not pickleball competitive. Like, we are out of this world competitors, right? Like, in every single facet. Like, I've competed with guys just in the weight room on what we're lifting that day. I've competed with guys on what we're eating. I've competed in guys on what car you got. Like, it's every single thing, right? Like, you hear the stories about like a Michael Jordan, right, and stuff like that. Like, when you're at this level, and even in college, right, that's the guys that really, really, really are really good, right? You compete with yourself every single day, right? So the last thing you want to do is now be restrained, right? So, like to your question though, like 18, I think I was already over 1,000 in the first 7 games, and that was with me having to go upstairs and ask for the ball. And he don't got to ask. This offense, all you got to probably do is say, hey, I need this ball 20 times this week, coach, and he'll have 250. Yeah, in this offense, it wouldn't have been fair, especially with Dampier, because Snoop was a good runner, but we never used him as a legitimate threat, right? He always had the ability to use his legs, but our offense wasn't tailored around his legs, right? This offense is tailored around Dampier and Fick's legs. So you seen this game past weekend. I mean, he hit his head on the goalpost. There was nobody. He had a 50-yard run just to the end zone. He was by himself. There was nobody
that
there.
Was nuts.
Yeah, it was like, I looked at it and I'm like, well, that must be nice. Great feeling. But like I said, he's only a sophomore, right?
Yeah.
Like he comes back another year. Obviously, you're gonna lose a lot of those dudes on the offensive line, but with Coach Harden, there's not gonna be a huge drop off. And when you still got these two quarterbacks that's gonna come in and make the numbers game, the analytic game a lot easier for the running back, and he's going to go work on his body. He's going to get faster, get stronger for another year. He's going to come back. He's going to be even smarter. He's going to be in the film room. All these little things that go into the process. And that's why I've loved about how aggressive he's been the last couple of weeks, getting the more carries, because you see the growth. Because remember, in the beginning of the year, we were talking about committee. No one's separating. He's separating, right? He's been separating himself the last 4 weeks, week by week. So now next year, when this season is over, and next year, as soon as winter conditioning comes around, I guarantee he's gonna have an entirely different mindset on how he comes into it. And when the season starts, you're gonna be talking about this guy as one of the best backs in the nation, just because of what he's doing right now. He's building up that confidence. So when he goes into the offseason, there isn't gonna be a day off, because he knows what he has a chance to go do. And it's perfect timing because he'll be a junior.
So a couple more things, and we'll get back to just covering the last bit of the post-game stuff. You and me can always grow a squirrel, and it's always still great conversations, right? So,
Yeah.
so you get a phone call this off season. It's Wayshawn wanting to work out with you, and just have you keep him on that right path. You gonna take him up on it?
Yeah, I mean, shoot, I've worked with a lot of dudes since I've been back here, like that either hit me up or something like that when I was, actively playing and stuff like that. So it'll be the same thing now. Like I said, I'm here. I'm usually around the school here and there and stuff like that. But there's people in that building that if he wants to connect with me, and I mean, it can be from training, which I'm not doing much of right now, but I'll get out there and go do some stuff. But if it's like training, if it's sitting in and watching film, man, like just anything, what he's seeing and maybe what I'm seeing, right? Like I said, like he has the ability, right? Like, um, you know, rest in peace to Ty Jordan, but it was the same thing with him. Like, I remember, people were trying to put me in his ear right away, and I was like, of course. Like I trained with him maybe twice, and the dude was he was legit. And not saying him and Parker are the same players, but Parker has the ability to, etch his name and do some really good, cool stuff and go play in the league for a while. So if any way I can always be, some type of a help in any way, right? Like if I'm training with a dude out here, hey, do you know anybody to train with? Anything, I'm always available for all that type of stuff, because it only helps the program. It only helps the coaches get better guys, keep getting good guys in there, and keep winning a lot of games, and continue to make the U relevant.
For sure. And then the last thing, I gotta hear about this, whatever you can give me on this, because you said that you went above your OC and your running back coach's head, and you went straight to Wit. How'd that conversation go, man? Take me through that. What was his reaction?
I think Coach Witt, me and Coach Witt have a pretty good relationship now. We didn't have a bad one then. I was just totally different from what I am now. Obviously, you can imagine, 19, 18, 19, 20-year-old me in college coming from Miami, right? Like, I'm totally different from what I am now, about to be 28 next month. So it's a big difference. So a lot of people around the program I had to grow pretty fast, because of the type of ship that Coach Witt runs, and like thankfully to the program, like it helped me a lot because it allowed me to go play in the NFL for as long as I did, right, and not have these hiccups, right? Like you see guys being late to meetings, you see guys doing X, Y, and Z stuff they're not supposed to do, right? Like we were already being groomed to be pros in college, right? So that's one thing I really did love about it. But I was always more reserved and quiet type of a player. I've always been like that. Like I always just show up, do my job, and go home, right? Like just allow me to do my job at a high level, and then I'm all good usually. So it was we played. I can't remember the first two games of the year. Then we played Weaver State. 18 at home, and then we played somebody else in the second game. I don't know, but it was the third game of the year, and we played Washington, right? Like, and this is what I say when I'm like talking about Parker, and I see the hunger, and I see just how aggressive he's been recently, and you see the uptick in the carries, and it's showing
Yeah.
that because it reminds me of my sophomore year, my own sophomore year. Like the first half of that year, to me, unimpressive, and then for me, everything kind of clicked after that USC game, right? And after the USC game, I gained so much confidence, and then I was able to string along some really good games to close out my sophomore year. So now, once I went into the off season after sophomore year, and I put in the work I put in, I was like, we got a new off. I think no, we had the same offensive coordinator, but 18 we come back. Weaver, I have 100 plus, right? Somebody else we play, I have 100 plus, and then we come back into the third game of the year versus Washington, right? Washington had beat us last year at Washington. We didn't have a great game plan for them that year, but it's a night out game, blackout game, and I'm like, it's nothing better, right? Like this is what you want. Washington is. We knew it was us and Washington. We knew those were the two teams at 18 that we knew we were going to see them in the Pac-12 championship game once we got there. Like we already talked about it. We knew like all the leadership guys and stuff like that. We knew where we wanted to go, right? And I ended the game with 12 carries for like 60 something yards, and I'm like, nah, we not doing this, right? Like, and we lost. We lost the game strictly because we wouldn't run the ball, right? Like we tried to pass the ball so many times, and that was never our strength on offense. Like our passing game was never our strength. It was solid, right? We had some good pass catching and stuff like that, but it was never our strength. Like we always opened up the pass game with the run game. So ironically, you know, I think about a lot of stuff kind of deeply to some degree sometimes, right? And our OC Taylor, he was at Eastern Washington, right? Jake Fromm was who I played with in Cincinnati last year. Jake Fromm was the quarterback. I believe he had a relationship with Jake Fromm and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, so you trying to like out throw Jake Fromm this game? Like, is that what we about to do? Like, Miles Gaskin is on the other side. Savon Med is on the other side. So that's my competition, right? I'm competing against them two, even though they don't know it, right? And we just throwing this ball. So after that game was over, I remember I drove home that same night, like midnight, it's hell late. I'm pissed. Like I'm pissed. I'm like, bro, this is a big game. Like this is the game that people in the NFL are gonna look at, right? Like, all this different type of stuff, competitively, inwards. So I say, you know what? I've been talking to my running back coach. Like, coach, I need 20 carries minimum a game. Like I've been talking to him, and his guy was the ROC because they came from Eastern Washington together. And I have, the utmost respect for Coach McDonald. But at that moment in time, I was like, all right, this shit ain't getting done. like he I don't know if he's going in there with the energy I got to go tell Taylor, yo, turn around and hand this ball off to number 2. I don't know if he was doing that. So after that Washington game, I was like, okay, this message has been received. I'm not taking it in. So I went upstairs the following week. Don't know what day it was, but I went upstairs, and I usually don't never go upstairs. I rarely go upstairs, and probably the third time I had ever been in Coach Witt's office. Probably the third time, right? And me and Coach Witt, we didn't talk constantly at all. Like it was more so just player coach type of thing. It wasn't any more thing than that. And so I went in there and I just told him like respectfully, essentially, right? Like, hey, we're not going to go where we want to go because, like I told you, we want to be the first team to win the Pac, right? In Utah history. And I was like, we're not going to get there doing what we're doing, right? Like we just came up with a year last year. I think we were like 76, right? Like in leadership guys, right? Like we all, if you're talking about Blackman, Johnson, Fotu, Anai, like all these different guys that we all were planning to leave after our junior year. So we wanted to go out on top, right? And I didn't feel like we were holding our weight, right? Essentially, like we had guys like Cody Barnes and obviously Chase Hansen and just so many dudes on defense. Marquise Blair, Corian Ballard, like we had a javelin, like we had a crazy defense. And I'm just like, all those dudes played in the NFL, every single one.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, yo, offensively, we're not holding our weight. So I tell them, and then that we go play Washington State. Right after that Washington game, we go play Washington State. Message was received. I had 30 carries, right? 30. Now, I wasn't expecting 30. Like, I was not expecting 30. I think I got up to 30 because of the type of team we were playing against, Washington State, because they had Gardner Minshew, Mike Leach, was the head coach at the time. So, obviously he was goated with the passing game and stuff like that.
Pirate. Love that guy. Yeah.
Like, I think I want to say Gardner lit us up for at least damn near 500 passing yards, right? Like at least 500, because we used to joke about it when me and him were together in Indy, and I think he lit us up like 500. So, and I ran the ball 30 times and had 100 plus and a touchdown. So I was like, shoot, like this 30 kind of backfired this one week. Like we got out of the 30 carries, but after that. It was just all. I think Coach Witt. I don't know. Probably to me, I feel like he gained a little bit more respect because I actually voiced what I was, feeling and stuff like that, and being one of the better offensive players we had. Like coming up there, because Coach Witt is not a pass the ball type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to try to do everything to run the ball because that helps his defense. He's a defensive minded coach, right? And shrinking that play clock. That helps his defense, not putting them on the field that many times and stuff like that. So it worked well after that. And obviously, 18 was a good year overall for us.
Well, it's funny because you going up and doing that obviously gave him ammo to prove his point to Taylor, because we all know those two did not like each other. So
yeah, it's funny because I did not know how much they didn't like each other. Outside of a few little spats on the sideline that I can barely remember, but I still don't even know just how bad it was. I just knew we passed the ball and we did so many things that Coach Witt was not accustomed to, and that was not how you played in his mind winning football, right? And like I said, like the offense wasn't built for that. Like our offense wasn't built. We didn't have like 4 or 5 star receivers everywhere around the field. And then now we're just throwing the ball. Like, yeah, we had a really good quarterback. We had some really good dudes that can pass catch and stuff like that. But we didn't have dominant guys. We had a lot of guys that can do a lot of different things, and everything was predicated off the run game. And, it was it was funny. But yeah, 18 was a good year overall, just from a lot of different standpoints, though.
Absolutely. No, that was 18 and 19 were two of the funnest years in Utah history. Doesn't matter where you guys ended up, right? But it's just it's kind of funny because it's like there's a lot of times where I sit back and I look at things over the years, and it's when you can win that conference championship or advance further on things, that's always going to take the cake, right? But then you look at some of those other years and just like the build up to it, and maybe what was there that didn't come to full fruition, but it's weird. I don't know how to explain it, but I know you know what I'm saying,
Yeah, no, I got exactly what you're saying.
But let's start wrapping up the post game stuff here, man. I know you're an offensive guy, but defensively, obviously we've talked about they threw for over 400 yards. We weren't necessarily expecting that, but that's what happens when you have to play from behind like that. That was those stats. He did hit some big ones during the in the middle part of the game, but a lot of those were product of the game situation. Okay. One of the guys that made a big play on that also made I wouldn't call a big play, but a more notable play. Scooby Davis goes and gets that pick 6. Great jump on the route, taking that to the house. and then later on, and the guy said something to him. Nobody knows what was said. I have heard that it was something that was enough to escalate somebody to punch somebody. But what were your thoughts when you saw that, man? Because he's a vital piece to this puzzle. And the cornerback room's a little dinged up right now. I mean, granted, they're all playing, but you can't lose one of your starters. I can't remember. I'd have to go back and take a look if it's just for the first half of the next game or if it's the full. I can't remember on that part, and I can't remember when it comes to ejections this way. But that was not a smart move, regardless of what was said.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard because you're playing. It's such an emotional game already, right? Like it's so much that goes into it, right? The prep and stuff like that, and wanting to perform at a high level. So guys go out and play with a ton of emotion. And I mean, shoot, you just saw it with Ramsey and Chase this the other day. So from that standpoint, yeah, in a perfect world, no matter what is said, right, like you got to try to restrain yourself, right? And I've never been in that position on the field, not on any level where I was in a confrontation with somebody that you know pushed me over my limit or something like that, right? And it's hard because those lines get blurred real fast, and you can't,
Yeah.
and we don't know what was said, right? Like, but in the perfect world, in the coach's world, right? You're like, hey man, let's try to not do that. It sucks to see it, but at some point, at the same time, it's like, okay, it can get warranted sometimes, right? Like I've been on the field and heard guys say crazy stuff, right? You've seen stuff in basketball where guys say stuff about somebody's wife or girlfriend or family or whatever it may be, and that happens a lot all the time because you got some dudes that's their edge, right? Like some of these guys' edge is talking crap and getting under your skin and trying to get in that way and things like that. And it sucks to see, but at the end of the day, it's like, it happens. That's all I can really say. I can't, really, I won't condemn him, right, for
Right.
doing something.
He doesn't seem like the type to do that. Like in his entire time here, it doesn't strike me that way whatsoever. So to me, I see that. And like the way he jumped at him all of a sudden after the guy said you could see the guy say something, right?
Mm.
And then the way he jumped at him, he said something that just absolutely ignite him, man.
Yeah.
Because
And that's the thing, like if obviously knowing the character of him and stuff like that, and seeing how he's carried himself, right, in Utah uniform, like when you see a guy like that out of character now, it's not like he's a hothead, right? A hothead,
no,
like, okay,
not at all.
You kind of question, all right, was this warranted? When you see a guy like this who carry himself a certain way, right, like, and you see him react that way, okay, something tells me that something was said that was just crazy to say, and it's probably falling back on that other guy a lot more than it's going to fall back on him. Now he had the physical part of it, right? And that's what always gets caught, right? Like that's what always gets caught. So hopefully, it's just a half, and it's a good teaching moment because guys are going to do it. Guys are going to do it, man. That's something that they just do, right? Like you're going to run up against some players, this level, next level that just do it, and that's their edge. They talk, try to get you off your game, and sometimes you have those low moments, but the main thing is how you respond, and obviously, we've talked about him having a certain type of character and the way he carries himself. So I don't think it'd be something that, the coaches are going to be worried about for one, and his teammates at the same time and things of that nature. So I doubt it'd be a repeated offense.
All right, man. Let's start wrapping this. So, just give me 1 to 2 things that you want to see. I mean, this would be nitpicking, and we like to nitpick, right? Because it's been a great year. But what are maybe 1 to 2 things that you want to see the guys improve on a little bit, or have a heavy focus on going into this Kansas State game with it being senior night and everything, and again, possibly being Kyle's last name? There's a lot of things to this that could potentially cause some distractions. I don't expect that from this team, right? But there's a lot of different little storylines this coming weekend, right? So what are maybe 1 to 2 things that you just want to see improved on, or a more heavy focus on going into this game, and then we'll wrap this and I'll be seeing you on the 48 hour next.
Yeah. The main thing, like, and that was where I was kind of going as well, was the emotional side of things, right? Like you said, like, obviously it hasn't. I don't know how much speculation in your world there's been about this being his last home game and stuff like that, and stuff like that. But it's like you have that side of it. Obviously, it's a lot of guys, a lot of seniors, last time to some degree, also playing football. You got guys moving on and stuff like that, being their last home game. It's definitely emotions you got to worry about. Slow starts that can happen. And that's a big thing because there is so much emotion right before a football game. Usually, you're trying to like suppress how much your emotions are there before you go out and go play. But this is a special moment. Guys will work super hard and stuff like that to be in this position right now, seniors and stuff like that. So getting their just due there. But I don't think it'd be a problem. I think it's something that you look at and as you analyze it, you say, yeah, this could be a thing. But honestly, I don't see it being a problem. I've loved this is two different things, but I've loved the way they've come out of the bye weeks, right? I love the way they've done that and the way they've shown up and started fast and dominated. So with this, obviously not the same thing, but I think they'll put that emotional stuff to the side really fast, have that moment, and the coaches will encourage them to have that moment and stuff like that. But they'll put it to the side pretty fast and go play ball and go beat up on a team because at the end of the day, right, they still are on a mission. Like they've not accomplished anything, right? They're trying to go somewhere and they have not hit that finish line yet. So they got to go out and go beat a Kansas State team. And they got to go beat them real good. And that pass defense. Hopefully, our pass defense looks a little bit more better. We give a little bit more restraint. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be motivated, right? I still think they'll be motivated, and sometimes the emotion is good too. Sometimes, so don't think they'll be bothered by it. So I'm looking for them to come out fast in the run game. Parker and all those guys can keep it going and shoot. If Fick is the quarterback, it'll be a pretty cool night just to get that experience with him once again.
Yeah, that's going to be something definitely for us to be paying attention to as the week goes on. We probably, as usual, won't find out until game time, right? But yeah, I mean, you mentioned the emotions that I had already kind of touched on. So yeah, that would be one for me. And then you also mentioned we're right on the same page with all this stuff, So when it comes to did you say passing game or pass defense? But for me, what's that?
Pass defense for us.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, same thing for me. Pass defense, tighten up those little things that were allowing Baylor to get some of those bigger gains when the game was actually meaningful, right? And so Morgan and Sharif are all over that film. They're gonna have the solutions for it. It's up to the guys to execute it, and it's a perfect opportunity for some of the backups with everything going on with Scooby. And we'll see those guys step up. And one other note that I got to make before we bounce off this is it's always fun the later in the season things get to see different guys emerge. Trey Reynolds is one of those guys with that defense. He had that 31-yard interception. Too bad he couldn't house it, but he's a stud. He's an absolute stud. Him and John O'Hall are going to be two forces next year side by side with each other in that defense at linebacker. And it's just, it's like so many other positions when it comes to that stinking Utah defense, man. It's wash, rinse, repeat. They just reload. And it's
they absolutely do.
They do. All right, man. Let's close this out. How do we always close it?
Yeah, man. Continue to like, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, hit us up on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from, to get the best news about Utah football right here.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Go Utes.
Yes, sir, man. Let's meet up soon with those cigars too, huh?
Yes. Yeah. Let me know, my man. Let me know.
All right, buddy.
All right, my man.
Lie, welcome to the players' lair. Yeah. Well, no other moment, man, it can't compare. Due to the obvious, people look at me and then they envious. And they the ones that be grinning and acting the friendliest. Yeah. Things are moving in the right direction.